This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke, chapter 19, verses 1 to 10. Passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. Jesus entered and walked through Jericho. There was a man there, his name Zacchaeus, the head taxman and quite rich. He wanted desperately to see Jesus, but the crowd was in his way. He was a short man and couldn't see over the crowd. So he ran on ahead and climbed up a sycamore tree so he could see Jesus when he came by. When Jesus got to the tree, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry down. Today is my day to be a guest in your home." Zacchaeus scrambled out of the tree, hardly believing his good luck, delighted to take Jesus home with him. Everyone who saw the incident was indignant and grunted, "What business does he have getting cozy with this crook?" Zacchaeus just stood there, a little stunned. He stamped apologetically, "Master, I give away half my income to the poor, and if I'm caught cheating, I pay 4 times the damages." Jesus said, "Today is Salvation Day in this home. Here he is, Zacchaeus, son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to find and restore the lost." The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 19, verses 1 to 10. Today's Gospel presents the scene of Jesus arriving in Jericho on his way to Jerusalem. As he enters the city, he cures a blind man who begs him, "Lord, that I may see." What we reflect today is the incident that happens immediately after this healing. Luke presents another man named Zacchaeus who also wanted to see. Luke presents to his community the importance of the thirst to see Jesus. Luke describes Zacchaeus as small in stature. Although rich, he has the image of an insignificant freak, hated by all because he colluded with the Romans to collect taxes. Therefore, it was almost impossible for him to move with the crowd to see Jesus. Zacchaeus is well aware that he is a sinner, hated and rejected by all. He desperately looks for Jesus because he has heard of him as the friend of tax collectors and sinners. In his desperate attempt to see Jesus, the crowd becomes a huge barrier, as it also happened with this blind man of Jericho. Instead of helping the encounter with Jesus, the crowd blocks him from approaching Jesus. However, his thirst to see Jesus is so compelling that he braves the crowd's jokes and climbs up a sycamore tree to have a glimpse of him. But when Jesus arrives at the scene, he looks up and says, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, for today I must stay at your house." It appears that Jesus took this road precisely to have this encounter with this chief of sinners. Pope Francis explains the passage saying, "The first glance is not from Zacchaeus but from Jesus, who precisely looks for him. The merciful gaze of the Lord reaches us before we even realize that we need it to be saved. And with this gaze of the Divine Master begins the miracle of the conversion of the sinner. Jesus calls him by his name, Zacchaeus. Despite the people's murmuring, Jesus chose to stay at the house of the public sinner. The house of Zacchaeus presents the scene of people who have access to the banquet of the Lord. Those who claim to be righteous, the religious leaders, are supposed to be inside. Instead, they are all outside. They are all outside the banquet hall, murmuring with anger. But then, the unclean, whom Jesus came in search of, are all inside at the table with the Lord. The one for whom there was no hope of salvation becomes the hero of the day. Salvation was offered, and Zacchaeus accepted the offer. Then did he discover the true joy that he was desperately seeking. Zacchaeus was converted when he discovered that God loved him even though the rest of the world despised and rejected him. How much more time would we need for this discovery and our conversion?